Welcome to our channel Stoic Moves. Have you ever met someone who smiles to your face but secretly plots your downfall? Or wondered if the quiet people around you might actually be your biggest threat? It's not always the loud enemies you need to fear. Sometimes it's the silent ones who cause the deepest harm. When someone's dislike goes beyond mere annoyance, their intentions can be far more dangerous and often hidden in plain sight. Have you noticed how some people don't just dislike you? They want to see you fail. The worst part is, they won't announce it. They wait. They manipulate. By the time you realize what's happening, it might already be too late. This isn't about paranoia. It's about awareness, about survival. These hidden adversaries often look like friends, colleagues, even family. If you don't recognize them in time, they can drain you emotionally, financially, and socially before moving on to their next target. In this video, we're breaking down 5 critical signs that separate simple dislike from true destruction. If you spot these red flags, don't ignore them. Recognizing them early could save you from years of manipulation, betrayal, or worse. So, do you really know who's on your side? Or is someone silently waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Before we dive in, if you're serious about mastering Stoic wisdom to protect yourself and build unshakable resilience, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Let's get started. Number 1. The silent observer. There's a reason the most dangerous threats don't announce themselves. A predator who roars before it strikes gives its prey a chance to run. The deadliest ones? They wait. They study. They blend into the background until the moment is right. By the time you realize you were being watched, it's already too late. Some people don't just dislike you, they want to see you fall. But unlike an enemy who makes their hatred clear, these people don't insult or threaten you. Instead, they operate in silence. I call them the silent observer. They're not just a nosy co-worker eavesdropping on office gossip or an ex who casually checks your social media now and then. No, this is someone who studies you with precision, tracking your movements not out of curiosity, but with intention. And the scariest part, you rarely notice because their goal isn't confrontation, it's infiltration. Maybe you've encountered one without realizing it. Ever had someone casually mention a place you've been, even though you never told them about it? Or noticed a particular person appearing more and more in your daily routine, almost as if they know exactly where you'll be? At first, it feels like coincidence, something easy to brush off. But when it keeps happening, when they always seem to just be there, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. In today's world, tracking someone doesn't require hacking skills, it just requires patience. You might not post your daily routine, but your friends do. You don't announce your schedule, but people around you unknowingly provide the details. A friend tags you at a restaurant. A colleague mentions your gym in passing. A neighbor comments on your work schedule. Piece by piece, they build a map of your life, and once they have enough information, they begin to position themselves inside it. At first, it seems harmless. You keep running into them at your favorite cafe or gym. They strike up conversations, acting as if it's all random. But deep down, something feels off. Their timing is too perfect, their presence too consistent. They know things they shouldn't. They appear where they don't belong. And yet, when you try to explain it to yourself, you hesitate. You don't want to seem paranoid. But this isn't paranoia, it's calculated surveillance. So how do you protect yourself? You pay attention, not with fear, but with awareness. Notice who always seems to be where you are, who knows things they shouldn't, who makes you feel uneasy. Even when nothing seems obviously wrong, your instincts are rarely wrong. The human brain is wired to detect danger long before we consciously recognize it. That feeling in your gut telling you something is off. It's there for a reason. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought." If you ignore the signs, if you dismiss your instincts, you allow danger to creep closer. Building on the importance of trusting your instincts and disrupting predictable patterns, remember, allowing the silent observer to remain invisible is exactly what they want. The key to protection is not paranoia, but presence, being fully aware and mindful of your surroundings. You can't control who watches you, but you can control what they see. Break your routines, change your patterns, and become unpredictable. The more difficult you are to track, the less attractive you become as a target. Above all, trust your intuition. If something feels wrong, it probably is. In a game where your safety may be at stake, the worst mistake is assuming no one is watching. Number 2, the quiet betrayal. Not all attacks come with loud warnings. Some are slow, deliberate, and carefully concealed beneath the surface, like a toxin slipped into your drink unnoticed until it's too late. The most dangerous enemies aren't those who openly challenge you. They're the ones who shake your hand while secretly untying your shoelaces, watching as you trip over what appears to be your own mistakes. Take Alex, for example. He was thriving at work, respected, productive, well-liked. But then subtly things shifted. His manager, once eager for his ideas, grew strangely indifferent. Colleagues who used to chat freely now offered only polite smiles and cut conversations short. Invitations to team lunches stopped quietly. The work environment hadn't changed, yet somehow Alex became an outsider. At first, Alex blamed himself. Had he unknowingly offended someone? Was he misreading things? But as days turned into weeks, a pattern emerged. Small things, a joke taken the wrong way, a project credit quietly redirected, a cryptic comment about his attitude no one could quite explain. It wasn't bad luck or randomness. Someone was working against him, not through open confrontation, but through whispers, careful distortions, and well-placed doubts. This is how betrayal works when crafted with patience. It doesn't strike like a hammer. It erodes like a slow leak, weakening the foundation beneath your feet. The person behind it rarely acts directly. Instead, they plant seeds and let others water them. A rumor here, a misinterpreted remark there. Not outright lies, but just enough half-truths to make people question, hesitate, and pull back. By the time you realize what's happening, the damage is done. The Stoics understood this quiet sabotage well. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by advisors and senators who schemed behind his back, once wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." The world is full of people who follow perception over reality, who believe whispers rather than facts. If your self-worth is built on the opinions of others, you will always be at their mercy. But if it is rooted deeper, your integrity, your actions, your character, no rumor can shake it. The biggest mistake most make is assuming harm only comes in obvious forms. We think of betrayal as an act of war, but it often arrives disguised as concern, wrapped carefully in the hands of manipulators who never get theirs dirty. Their goal? To isolate you, to make you doubt yourself, to make you easier to control and easier to remove. How do you protect yourself? First, understand that while your reputation is fragile, your character is unbreakable. Others may control how you are perceived, but they cannot change who you are. Epictetus said, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. Instead, live in such a way that no one will believe them. Don't waste time chasing rumors. Disprove them with how you live." Second, observe without paranoia, but never ignore a pattern. If misunderstandings and conflicts constantly surround a certain person, pay attention. If trust erodes around you without cause, look for the source. The wise do not accuse without reason, but they do not ignore what's right before their eyes. Finally, fortify your inner circle. A person who stands alone is easy to manipulate. Surround yourself with those who know your true nature, who see through deception, and who remain loyal, not because of rumors, but because of truth. Seneca warned, "Associate with those who make you a better man. The right people will recognize lies for what they are." Betrayal is rarely loud, but those who seek to undermine you can only succeed if you let their whispers define you. Stand firm, see clearly, and never ever allow deception to shape your reality. Continuing from the earlier discussion about hidden dangers around us, it's crucial to understand that the most threatening enemy isn't always the one standing openly against you. It's often the one standing right beside you, smiling, nodding, and listening, all the while quietly sharpening their knife. Betrayal rarely comes from strangers. A stranger doesn't know where to strike. True betrayal comes from those who have earned your trust, those you've let into your world so deeply that by the time you realize their true nature, they already know exactly how to dismantle yours. Consider Adam, a man who prided himself on being careful with whom he trusted. He was successful, respected, and had built his life on strong, genuine relationships. He wasn't naive. He understood the world could be cruel. Yet, when he started a new business, he met Eric, a charismatic and seemingly supportive colleague. Eric was more than helpful. He was always available, always listening, eager to learn more. He praised Adam's vision, encouraged his ideas, and quickly became someone Adam confided in. Within months, Eric wasn't just a business associate, he was a friend. He knew Adam's aspirations, his frustrations, even the things that kept him awake at night. He met Adam's wife and kids, came over for dinners, and flawlessly played the role of a trusted confidant. Then the cracks appeared. Business deals Adam had worked hard on mysteriously fell apart, only for Eric to emerge as the one closing them. Private concerns Adam shared in confidence became public knowledge, twisted into whispers that made Adam seem unreliable or even paranoid. The worst part was the gaslighting. When Adam confronted Eric, he was met with casual dismissals. "You're overthinking it. Maybe you just misunderstood. I'd never do that to you." Yet, the pattern was undeniable. The very person Adam trusted most had systematically undermined him, not through open attacks but through subtle, patient deception. This is what makes the false friend so dangerous. Unlike an open enemy, they don't argue with you, threaten you, or challenge you directly. Instead, they embed themselves into your world, disarming you with kindness and making you believe they are your greatest supporter. Once they have access to your secrets, habits, and weaknesses, they turn that trust into a weapon. A Stoic would warn against blind trust, not out of cynicism, but out of understanding human nature. Marcus Aurelius observed that those who rush to prove their loyalty are often the ones most likely to betray you. A real friend earns trust over time, through actions, not words. But a false friend fast-tracks the process, breaking down your defenses before you even realize you need protecting. Think about the people in your life. Has someone recently taken an unusual interest in you? Have they gone from a distant acquaintance to an eager confidant, wanting to know every detail? Where you go, who you spend time with, your deepest insecurities. Do they present themselves as your biggest cheerleader, yet subtly fuel your doubts and fears? A true friend wants what's best for you. A false friend wants access, and access in the wrong hands is dangerous. History is full of betrayals following this exact pattern. Julius Caesar never expected Brutus, someone he trusted as a close ally, to be among his assassins. But as Seneca warned, a prosperous man often has the most to fear, not from his enemies, but from his friends. When you have something valuable, your success, peace of mind, stability, there will always be those who seek to take it. And the easiest way isn't through force, but deception. So how do you protect yourself? First, awareness. Pay attention to sudden shifts in how people treat you. If someone is too eager to befriend you or insists on knowing your every thought, ask why. Real friendships take time. A false friend moves quickly because their goal isn't connection, it's control. Second, patience. Genuine friendships develop naturally. Manipulative people accelerate the process, trying to earn your trust before you've had a chance to see their true character. If someone seems too good to be true, they probably are. Finally, protect your inner world. Not everyone deserves to know your plans, fears, or vulnerabilities. Epictetus wisely warned that the more you reveal of yourself, the more power you give others to use against you. Choose carefully. The greatest danger isn't always from those who oppose you. It's from those who stand close enough to whisper in your ear while holding a knife behind their back. Be kind, but not blind. Be open, but not exposed. Above all, never mistake rapid closeness for genuine friendship. Time reveals true intentions. Let it do its work. Building on the idea of gradual escalation, it's important to realize that violence rarely begins with an outright attack. Instead, it starts small, often with a joke that carries a sharp edge, ambiguous enough to be dismissed easily. This subtle shift then turns into small, seemingly accidental violations, standing too close, brushing against you with just a little too much force, or blocking your way during a conversation. Next, it escalates to subtle threats disguised as humor, casual references to violence, words crafted to provoke fear but wrapped in plausible deniability. With every step, the aggressor watches your reaction carefully. If you laugh it off, they push further. If you say nothing, they take it as permission. Each action is a calculated test to see how far they can go before they meet resistance. History. Care's filled with examples of violence that followed this exact pattern. Take Mark David Chapman, the man who murdered John Lennon. He didn't wake up one morning and decide to pull the trigger. Months before the act, he lurked near the Dakota building where Lennon lived, watching, waiting for reactions, and obsessively rehearsing his plan in his mind. He even got Lennon's autograph just hours before the murder, standing beside him, as if he were just another fan. Warning signs were there, disturbing remarks to friends, erratic behavior, but they were dismissed as the ramblings of someone odd but harmless. Until, of course, they weren't. Stoicism teaches us that true strength doesn't come from ignoring danger, but from recognizing it without fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, refusing to acknowledge a problem doesn't make it disappear. Avoiding confrontation doesn't make a threat vanish. It only gives it more space to grow. Those who test boundaries do so because they assume they won't be stopped. And for those who remain silent, the consequences can be devastating. So what do you do? The first step is recognizing the pattern. If someone repeatedly makes violent remarks, exhibits aggressive behavior, or consistently invades your personal space, don't dismiss it as harmless. People who joke about destruction are often testing how much they can say before someone takes them seriously. The second step is setting boundaries immediately. A Stoic does not react with fear, but neither do they tolerate unnecessary threats. Address the behavior firmly and clearly. If someone continues to push, remove yourself from their reach. Some escalate only because they believe no one will resist. When you show resistance, many stop. Finally, if the situation escalates, document interactions. Keep records of threats, repeated inappropriate behavior, or any signs indicating danger. Seek support from management, authorities, or influential people who can intervene. Distance yourself if necessary. Seneca warned, "A sword never kills anybody by itself. It is merely the hand that wields it." Violence does not erupt without cause. It is always preceded by warning signs. The sooner you recognize them, the better your chance to stop danger before it fully unfolds. Fear thrives in ignorance, but knowledge, awareness, action, and refusing to ignore the obvious turn fear into power. No one falls into chaos without first taking small steps toward it. No one prevents disaster by pretending it doesn't exist. The question is, when the wind shifts and the sky darkens, will you notice in time? Building on the idea of silent, patient threats, it's important to recognize that the most dangerous enemies often move unseen, working quietly in the background until the moment they strike is irreversible. Unlike impulsive foes, these patient enemies give you no chance to prepare. Think carefully about the people in your life. Has anyone taken an unusual interest in your personal details, not just casual small talk, but your future plans, relationships, ambitions, or fears? Some inquire out of genuine care, but others ask because information is power. They are mapping your movements, watching and waiting for the perfect moment when you are most vulnerable. The problem is these people rarely raise alarm bells. They often appear as the least threatening person in the room. History repeatedly shows us that the deadliest betrayals don't come from known enemies, but from trusted allies. Julius Caesar never feared his battlefield rivals as much as he feared Brutus, the very man he trusted most, who stood among his assassins. People like this don't lash out. Instead, they embed themselves deeply in your world, playing the long game. They ensure they are close enough that when they act against you, you are too entangled to escape. This patient enemy is the hardest to detect. They don't argue, express envy, or show resentment. Rather, they support, encourage, and position themselves as reliable, someone you trust and feel safe with. Behind this facade, they quietly collect details about your life, your weaknesses, and your struggles. Not out of friendship, but as preparation for their eventual move. When the opportunity presents itself, they strike in a way that leaves you unable to recover. Perhaps it's an employer who pretends to value your contributions only to slowly edge you out. Maybe it's a business partner who agrees with every decision but undermines you at your most vulnerable moment. Or someone in your personal life, a friend or even a family member who waits until they gain maximum influence before making their move. Marcus Aurelius warned about trusting appearances too easily, saying, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A patient enemy understands this well, skillfully disguising their true intentions beneath a mask of loyalty and care. Building on the idea that patient enemies hide their true nature beneath layers of false kindness, they allow you to see them as allies until the moment they choose to reveal their real intentions. So how do you protect yourself? First, be mindful of those who take a deep and persistent interest in your private life. Not everyone curious about your future is a threat, but if someone seems unusually invested in every detail, take note. Second, never give away more than necessary. The Stoics believed in self-sufficiency. Rely on your own judgment rather than placing blind trust in others. Finally, trust patterns, not words. A true friend proves themselves over time, not just through what they say, but through how they act. When they have nothing to gain, a patient enemy waits until you lower your guard. Don't let them. If you recognize this pattern in someone, understand this: you're not dealing with a minor rivalry, but a calculated threat. In such cases, survival depends not on reacting to danger, but on seeing it long before it ever reaches you. Before you click away, I need you to do two things. First, save this video. The signs you've learned today aren't just interesting. They could be the thin line between awareness and being blindsided. The biggest threats aren't always the ones who shout. Sometimes they're the ones who smile. Second, watch the next video on your screen. It will show you how to recognize covert manipulators, because the kinds of people we've talked about today rarely work alone. They wear masks, and the more you understand their patterns, the harder it is for them to play you. If this video opened your eyes, let me know in the comments by writing, "What I see clearly," because once you recognize these signs, you can never unsee them. If you want to keep sharpening your instincts, protect yourself, and stay 5 steps ahead, hit that subscribe button. Knowledge is power, but action keeps you safe. Stay sharp, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Moves for more profound wisdom and practical guidance to live resiliently and wisely in today's complex world.